Kay, you're not nervous about my meeting your friends tonight, are you?
These suburban stuffed shirts, hardly, dear.
Well, what is it? You're not yourself at all, and you haven't been for a couple of days.
Don't look at me like that, Earl. You remind me of Philip.
That's not too bad, is it? You told me you loved the man.
I did. But tonight you're going to meet the girl who stole him away from me. You're going to meet the present, Mrs. John Abbott.
Kay, why?
Earl, it's a test. I'm testing myself and Jill. In a way, it may be the last battle, though. The end of the war.
Well, for your sake, I hope that'll mean peace at last.
That or a final victory.
Well, I suppose we're all waiting for the Abbott.
John was always late, wasn't he?
Only because it took Dina so long to get dressed.
Wait. Now, oh, by the way, now I hope none of you are planning to make any subtle references to Dina after the arrival of the new Mrs. John Abbott. Now, darlings, I'm deadly serious. I want them both to be very, very comfortable. And Frances, dear, that does mean you.
Oh, good heavens, Kay. Don't tell me you finally sheathed your claws.
Hi, everybody.
John.
Leonard, Mark, ladies. I'm sorry I'm late. Would you believe that I took the wrong turn coming here?
Well, it's been years. John, I think you know, oh, of course you know everyone here except Earl Bancroft. My friend Earl, darling, this is John Abbott.
Nice to meet you, John.
Nice to meet you, Earl.
I suppose Jill is detained at the Mirror.
Katherine, I'm sorry, but Jill won't be able to make it. She's just at home laid up with the flu bug, and she's really disappointed she'll miss this.
Are you saying she's ill?
Flat on her back. I'm sorry, Katherine.
So am I, John. So am I. Please.
So we said you better make it a 10:04 because I'm coming back.
That's funny. I hear you're expanding Jabot, John. My son's idea. Yeah, we're going to get into fragrances.
I believe my son has made some preliminary sketches for that building, Mr. Abbott.
Kevin Bancroft.
Right.
Yes, young man to Newman Towers. He is a very talented young man.
I think so. But then I suppose you're as proud of your son as I am of mine.
When you want financing, John, you know where to come.
Oh, I knew he'd say that.
So that's Kay's latest conquest.
Well, he doesn't seem her type somehow, though. Do you remember Derek Thurston?
My dear, I remember Philip.
Well, look, at least Kay's behaving herself. She hasn't touched a drop so far tonight.
Yeah, she seemed very upset that John's wife couldn't make it.
And very defensive of that girl. Did you see the way that she snapped at us when Mark mentioned Dina? What do you know about that girl?
I think that's a Fiat.
Well, my dear, all I know is that she used to be a manicurist.
I suppose everything is ready to serve.
Yes, ma'am.
The sooner we get it over, the better.
Okay.
You're very upset because John Abbott's wife couldn't come, aren't you?
Couldn't or wouldn't.
Give her the benefit of the doubt,
Oh,
Kay.
please, Earl. I've been giving her the benefit of the doubt since I first met her.
Well, her husband seems like a nice enough fellow.
She didn't have the nerve to face me.
Put it out of your mind. Let's enjoy the evening.
Yes, Earl. I am neglecting my guests. Thank you. Well, Frances, I suppose you're still trying to run that marvelous charity ball for the hospital all by yourself, dear.
Well, now, Kay, at least I've stopped asking for your help.
You need some young blood in there. I think you should talk to John.
Oh, Katherine. You know I don't have time for that sort of thing.
Oh, well, darling, but Jill does, and I'm sure she would love to be useful there. She really would.
Catherine seems to forget that it takes some expertise to run this ball, and just being willing isn't enough.
Oh, now, please. She's very, very efficient.
Oh, I would vouch for that.
That's right. She worked for you at one time, didn't she?
Yes, as a matter of fact, she did so well, I gave her a full-time job as my wife.
So you see, Frances, there you are. You're passing up a good bet. Besides, no, darling, think of all of the free Jabot samples you can give out as favor. Yes. Oh, didn't you know? Oh, yes, of course. Jill and I met. In fact, at one time, she worked for me, too.
That's right.
Oh, you don't mind my referring to those days, too?
No, I'm quite proud of my wife's accomplishments in her life.
Particularly when she crowned her final efforts by marrying you.
But that's fascinating. I suppose she was your social secretary.
Oh, no. Actually, I brought her in as my personal companion. Well, you know it ended up with her pouring me in bed night after night. All right, now, come on. Don't all of you look so embarrassed. You know exactly what I was like. And I mean, Esther, would you please? If I'm not embarrassed, then why should you be?
Now, Catherine, we're all admiring your honesty.
Well, there's nothing like honesty. Is there, John?
I know I'm late. Have they sat down to dinner yet?
No, don't worry, you're not. Jill, we were just talking about you. You and me, of course. Everyone, this is Mrs. John Abbott. Oh, Jill, I am so glad you finally got here, dear. Were you, just making a grand entrance?
No. As badly as I feel, I realize that even if it killed me, I couldn't miss your dinner party tonight.
So,
Well, you are nothing like what I expected.
Oh, what do you think I'd be like?
Well, from Kay's description, hardworking, sweet, and mousy.
Oh, I see. She told us about your working for her years ago. You must have been a child at the time.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, well, then you must have known Philip, too.
Yeah, I knew Mr. Chancellor.
Oh, come now, Jill, that's rather an understatement. This young woman not only knew Philip, they became very close friends.
Mutual concern for you, wasn't it, Kay?
Or was it, Jill? A mutual concern?
You know perfectly well how I felt about your husband.
Yes, I know. But I want everyone else to know. I mean, he adored you, didn't he? I mean, after all, you were young and beautiful. Free with your body.
No, that's not how it was.
We must all understand Philip's position. I mean, after all, he was settled with a woman who drank constantly, was unfaithful with his stable boys. I mean, is it any wonder that he wouldn't be attracted to this young woman? I mean, is there any man in this room who would not be? And can you blame her entirely if she was fascinated with a handsome man who was rich and lonely and vulnerable? Oh,
Stop.
Jill, it could have been such a moving, tender love story. But, my dear, you didn't want a story, did you? No, you wanted my place and my husband. So you got yourself pregnant and you played on his sympathy until he divorced me, and then after the car accident he married you on his deathbed just to give your bastard child an
Mrs. Chancellor, that is about enough. I happen to know the whole story of Jill and Philip Chancellor, and I have known about it a long, long time.
You do?
Yes. I know how much Philip loved you and how much you cared for him. But I saw no reason to stir up the past. Now, if there was any fault at all, it was Philip's. And if you can't realize that, then you are just hanging on to an excuse for your failure as a wife.
You knew all along.
Yes.
I can't believe it.
Now, I think the purpose of this evening is over. You wanted your friends to meet my wife. They have. But unfortunately, under rather trying circumstances. Now, I'm sure that my wife and I are not very hungry, and she did get out of a sickbed to come here. So I'm going to take her home now, Mrs. Chancellor. Good night.
Well, I haven't tasted dinner yet, but the floor show was marvelous.
My God, he knows and he forgives her.
If you're bent on revenge, my dear, I'm afraid he took all the wind out of your sails.
Shut up, Marion. Can't you see she's half sick herself?
Yes, Kay. Let me get your brandy.
Yes, please. No. No brandy. Well, you're all certainly going to have something to talk about in the morning, aren't you? After all, my God, you did meet the new Mrs. John Abbott.
I hate to disappoint you, but I think she came rather well through it all.
Thank you, Mary.
Look, I blame myself entirely. Everything was going very well until I mentioned Philip. I'm so sorry, Kay. But, my God, that poor girl was in pain.
You're really all on her side, aren't you? I mean, you are, aren't you? I mean, Jill is one. My God, Jill Foster's one again.
Okay. And if she has one, you remember you said this was the last battle.
Yes, I did say that, didn't I? One more scene like this, and it would, finish me off. All right, well, my God, I hope you're still all hungry, because it just so happens, my darlings, dinner is served. Come on.